The hallway was quiet at dawn, only the soft squeak of rubber soles and the gentle swish of a mop echoing through the vast marble floor of Westwood International Academy, the kind of elite school where students wore tailored uniforms, and their parents arrived in black SUVs with bodyguards and Bluetooth earpieces. But not all who entered those polished glass doors were cut from the same cloth. Ben Carter, the school's janitor, was different. A former Marine turned single father, Ben had taken the job not for prestige, but for survival. After losing his wife to cancer 4 years ago, he had been raising his son, Toby, alone. Life had been cruel, humbling, and endlessly exhausting, but Ben never let it harden him. Every morning at 5 a.m., before the elite world of polished shoes and private tutors stirred awake, Ben mopped the halls in silence, humming low tunes from old jazz records, the ones his wife used to love. One particular morning, as winter melted into spring, he noticed her. A little girl. Sitting on the bench outside classroom 2B. Alone. She looked no older than 7. Her posture was rigid, hands clenched around the straps of her backpack. Her eyes stared ahead, deep brown pools of silent sorrow. Ben paused. "Hey there, kiddo," he offered, voice soft. "You waiting for someone?" She didn't reply. Not a blink. Not a flinch. Just silence. From her pristine uniform and the gold-trimmed satchel, he guessed she was one of the high-tier students, the kind whose lunches cost more than his weekly groceries. "All right, no worries," he smiled gently. "Just check in, dot." For the next week, she appeared like clockwork. Always early. Always alone. Always silent. One day, he brought a small box of animal crackers, the kind Toby loved. Without speaking, he placed it next to her on the bench. She didn't touch it at first. But when he walked away, her tiny fingers slowly opened the box. The next day, he left a small folded paper crane beside the crackers. Then a hand-drawn smiley face. Then a tiny notepad with stick figure doodles. Still, she never spoke. Never smiled. But she started drawing back. Little sketches. A bird. A tree. A girl standing under rain. Ben began to look forward to those drawings. He'd leave kind notes scribbled in blocky letters. "This one looks like a sunflower. Bright. Like you." On the 10th morning, he found her gone. No drawing. No bag. Just a folded note, tucked under the bench. "Her name is Ava. She hasn't spoken since her dad died 2 years ago. I bring her early because I have meetings. Thank you for being kind. M." That was it. No other name. No explanation. Just a mother's brief words. But something about it settled heavy in Ben's chest. The next day, she was back. This time, she held the notepad out to him. It read. "Why do you clean?" He knelt down, meeting her eyes. "Because it helps people," he said with a smile. "Everyone deserves to start the day in a clean place. Even if they don't notice it." Ava looked at him for a long time, then slowly nodded. That morning, for the first time, she waved as he walked away. 2 weeks later, a violent thunderstorm broke loose over the city. Traffic snarled. Power flickered. The school announced early dismissal, but Ava's name was never called. By 4 p.m., the school was nearly empty. Ben was finishing up the cafeteria floor when he saw her, soaked, curled up on a bench, clutching her backpack like a lifeline. "Hey, hey," he said, rushing over. "Where's your ride?" No answer. "No one came to get you?" Her eyes brimmed with tears. She shook her head slowly. Ben exhaled. He didn't have much, just an old pickup and 2 boxes of leftover pizza in the back seat. But what he did have, he could share. "All right, let's get you dry and fed. You like cheese pizza?" Ava hesitated, then nodded. He took her to the janitor's lounge, a small, cozy room most never entered. He handed her a towel, warmed up pizza in the microwave, and offered her an old hoodie from his son's cubby. And for the first time, as the rain battered the windows and they shared a quiet meal, Ava smiled. Not big. Not loud. Just a tiny curl of the lips. Ben pretended not to see the tears that followed. What he didn't know, what he couldn't know, was that someone else had seen everything. From the second-floor corridor, through a narrow slit in the wall-to-ceiling glass, Margot Langford watched it all unfold. CEO of Langford Global Holdings. One of the wealthiest women in the state. A woman whose heart had been buried beside her husband in Arlington 2 years prior. She'd arrived late, as usual. Ava had stopped speaking the week her father died, and no therapist or specialist could unlock her silence. But this janitor, this man in stained coveralls and weathered eyes. He got through. Without force. Without pressure. Just kindness. Margot watched her daughter smile. For the first time in 2 years. And she broke. Tears fell, quiet and unchecked. She had built empires. Bought islands. Changed laws. But she couldn't make her daughter smile. Until now. The next morning, Ben found Ava already waiting by the bench, this time with a small paper bag in her lap. She handed it to him. Inside was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Slightly crooked. Messy. But lovingly made. And a note, for my friend. Ben didn't speak for a moment. Then he smiled, voice cracking. Best sandwich I've had in years. And then, like a whisper carried by a gentle wind, he heard it. Ben. His name. From her lips. Soft. Fragile. His heart stopped. What did you say, sweet pea? Ava looked up. Her eyes shimmering. Ben. It wasn't loud. It wasn't clear. But it was real. He knelt beside her, tears burning at the corners of his eyes. That's me, he whispered. I'm Ben. Behind them, footsteps clicked softly. Margot stood at the edge of the hall, hands clasped, trembling. I heard it too, she said quietly. Ava turned, and for the first time in years, ran into her mother's arms. Later that week, Principal Darnell called Ben into his office. You're not in trouble, the older man smiled. But I thought you should know, we received a large anonymous donation for school support staff. Triple wages. Full benefits. And a scholarship for janitorial staff's children. Starting with yours. Ben was speechless. Any idea who sent it? He asked. The principal just shrugged. Only signed with an M. Weeks turned into months. Ava spoke more. Slowly. Carefully. She smiled freely now. Laughed. Margot changed too. No more early drop-offs or forgotten pickups. She and Ben would chat at pickup. About parenting. Grief. Jazz records. Ava's drawings. Then one afternoon, as the sun bathed the schoolyard in golden light, Margot walked up to Ben, holding 2 coffees. One for you. And maybe dinner sometime. Ben looked down at the cup, then up at her. A pause. Then a slow, warm smile. I'd like that. They say the smallest gestures often change the course of lives. A paper crane. A shared sandwich. A gentle word. Ben Carter never set out to be a hero. He was just a janitor. Just a single dad. Just a man who believed kindness was never wasted. But to one little girl, he was the reason her silence turned into a whisper. To one grieving mother, he was the man who helped her daughter find her way back. And to a world that often forgets the power of gentleness, he was a reminder that sometimes, it's not the powerful who make the loudest difference. It's the quiet ones who care, when no one else does.